Okay, we're going to open up our Bibles. It's the first book of the Bible, Genesis. And I like to think of, have you ever heard the word generate? Like when you're starting something, you're generating something.
Yeah, you mean the first page?
We're going to go to the 6th chapter. 6th chapter in Genesis. But I always think of Genesis as like generating. It's the first book, so it's the beginning of the Bible. Did anybody get a chance to read Genesis at home about the flood? Genesis 6 through 9?
I know last week.
Or have somebody read it to you?
Yeah, you can read it to me.
Okay.
Hayden!
And Karina was telling us about different apps and websites you can go to now that it reads the Bible to you. So you don't even actually have to read it. It'll read it to you. Okay, we're going to move forward here. This one. Okay, so we said the first book of the Bible is Genesis, and we know it's in the Old Testament. For you fellas that weren't here last week, do you already know that the Bible is divided into two sections?
No.
Old and the New? Perfect. So the Old's before Jesus, and the New is when Jesus was born. Very good. I don't see if my computer's going to move. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the flood, the Great Flood. And we want to know what was happening before the flood. So we're going to do a little bit of reading. And we'll start here. Let's see, is there anybody who wants to read? You want to volunteer to read? You don't have to if you don't want to. Only if you want to.
Hey, you want to read?
Okay, I'll start out. We'll start here, that big number 6. It's on page 11, the big blue number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Wickedness in the world. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. And we're going to skip over. Turn to page 12.
What number 7 or?
And we're going to go to where this tiny little 5 is. There you go.
Tiny little 5?
The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race that I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground. For I regret that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Have you ever heard the name Noah before? Noah
Like Noah Holler.
Noah Holler is a boy. And you know what? I bet he was named after Noah. You think so?
Yeah.
We can ask him later on today. We'll ask his parents. So Noah and the flood. It's halfway in the middle part of that page on page 12. Anybody want to start reading that part?
Okay, you ready?
All right. This is the account of Noah and his family. Noah was a righteous man. You know, what does righteous mean?
Like.
Sort of good, and he does things that are right. You know, he tries to do what's right. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Noah had 3 sons. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So God said to Noah, I'm going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch, which is like tar, black tar, inside and out. This is how you are to build. And then he gives all the dimensions. Have you seen a picture of the ark? There was a gentleman who built an ark. We'll look it up here in just a minute so I can show it to you. Let's see. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks. So was the ark just one floor for animals?
No.
No.
There's plenty.
I'm going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life. under the heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it. Everything on earth will perish. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives, into the ark, 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten and store it away as food for you and for them. Was it just Noah and the animals, or were there other people?
No people?
There were other people too. That's right. Now let's skip over to chapter 7. See that big blue 7 up there? The Lord then said to Noah, Go into the ark, you and your whole family, because I have found you righteous in this generation. Take with you 7 pairs of every kind of clean animal, a male and its mate, 1 pair of every kind of unclean animal, a male and its mate, and also several pairs of every kind of bird, male and female, to keep various kinds alive throughout the earth. 7 days from now, I will send rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. I will wipe from the face of the earth every living creature. Who can tell me how long raise your hand, you can tell me how long it rained.
100 years?
No.
Oh. Which times?
It starts with an F.
40 days and
40 days and 40 nights. Can you imagine how long that is? That's all. If it started raining at the beginning of school, it would rain through August, it would rain through September, and the beginning of October. That's a lot of rain. Noah did what the Lord commanded. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came on the earth. See, that was back before the time whenever God limited the number of days that a human could live, the number of years that they could live. On that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened, and rain fell on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. On that very day, Noah and his sons, together with his wife and the wives of their 3 sons, entered the ark. And then it just talks about loading all the animals up. And we'll skip down to 17, verse 17. For 40 days the flood kept coming on the earth, and as the waters increased, they lifted the ark high above the earth. The waters rose and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the surface of the water. The waters rose and covered the mountains to a depth more than 15 cubits. Every living thing that moved on land perished, and perished means died. But God remembered Noah and all the wild animals and the livestock that were with him in the ark. Let's see. And then on chapter 8, 6, after 40 days Noah opened a window he had made in the ark and sent out a raven, and it kept flying back and forth until the water dried up. So he was sending out a raven and a dove that would go out and come back, because if the animals didn't have anywhere to land, then he would know that there was still water. And we'll turn to page 14. He removed the covering from the ark. He saw that the ground was dry. Over on page 15, there's chapter 9, the blue 9. It talks about how God blessed Noah and his sons. When you read this at home or somebody read it to you, does anybody remember anything about the rainbow?
That's God's promise that He would never flood the earth again.
Right. With the rainbow was a symbol from God to Noah that he would never flood the earth again. It was a covenant. Do you know what a covenant is?
No, I do not.
A covenant's like a promise. If you have a covenant with someone or with the Lord, it means you've got a promise or an ironclad agreement. You can't go back on it. So why did God want to flood the earth? What were they doing? That picture up there gives you the people of the world, were they being good?
No.
Making good choices?
No, because they were sinning.
They were sinning. They were sinning, and God tried to tell them, and they wouldn't listen. Your parents ever have to tell you over and over and over about something, and sometimes we just don't listen, and then there's a consequence. My mom would always say, every action has either a positive consequence or a negative. So, if you want to clean your room, you can go outside and play volleyball with us in the backyard. But if you don't, then you're going to be stuck in your room and be miserable all afternoon. And it only took me one time missing out on family fun to realize that when my mom said it, she meant it. Okay. So this was God's reaction.
Crying.
He grieved that he had made man. He was sad that he had made man. You know, here I made these humans and they don't even listen to me. So he planned to destroy the humans and the animals, but he remembered that Noah was a good man. Oh, there it is. There's a picture of the ark. That's exactly what I wanted to show you.
Oh, good Lord.
So I went there last summer.
You've been there. I've always wanted to go there.
Yeah.
Did it make
It's
you
in
feel like a
Kentucky.
tiny person to be in front of that?
Because it's in Kentucky.
That's amazing. You wouldn't have a picture of it, would you, at home that maybe your mom could print out for us?
I mean, it was me, my grandma, and my grandpa who went on a Christian tour
What, Jacob?
to get there. No, we didn't take him. This is like a 3-night trip to get there.
Mm-hmm. Did you get to walk on the inside?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Like
fascinating.
at least 3 or 4 stories in it.
That's amazing. I'm going to talk to your mom and see if maybe she could send me some pictures so we can all see what it looks like on the inside. Because that replica was supposedly built to match what it says in the Bible. That would be fascinating. Gosh, you're lucky. Okay. And then, people will often say, oh, is what's in the Bible true? I don't know if it's true or not. Well, there's scientific evidence to prove that the flood really did happen. For example, let's see, I'll draw a picture of the United States, but it won't be very pretty because
Oh,
I'm
you're,
not
it
an
can
artist.
be a good it can be a good artist.
Okay, so the United States goes something like this.
That's bad.
This is Florida. North Carolina's out here.
That's Florida. That's not how you do it either.
Okay, there's our state.
That's wrong.
Okay, so where do whales live?
looks sort of like the ocean.
Ocean.
They live in the ocean. Do you know where they have found whale bones? Over here. In the center part of the United States. They found different fossils and animal bones in the center of our country and in the center of Canada, which would mean at some time the ocean had to have covered that area. The facts that they sent here for me to also share with you, it says there are trees. A polystrate fossil is a fossil tree that is buried upright. Very few of them have roots. This suggests that it did not grow where it was buried, but rather was uprooted and redeposited. So, we have evidence. Geologists or people who study land, rocks, the earth, have pointed out that this is true. All right, so we've talked about sin. What is sin? If somebody says, oh, you sinned, what is a sin? Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad.
Bad
Okay,
thing.
we know it's a bad thing. So how would you define it? If somebody had never heard the word sin before, and they said, do you go to church? What's a sin?
You're disobeying the 10 Commandments.
Mm-hmm. It's disobeying. It could be disobeying the 10 Commandments. I guess the best way I would define sin is doing something that's wrong. That maybe you don't even know you're not supposed to do it, but then once you find out, you always remember. We're going to stand up and come over here. I've got a chart up on the wall about sin, and it says it can be thoughts, words, or actions. I'm going to give you some cards, and you have to decide if the card I give you is a sin. And if it is, then I'm going to give you a piece of tape here. Okay. So, taking $1 from your parents without permission. Do you think that's a sin? If you do, we're going to put it up on the board. Is that something that's wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. So take that one up there for me on one of these.
I used to take my dad's money. Not dollars.
What's
but
that? Are these?
I'd take his, like, wait, which one do I put it on?
Either one. That's right. Because if you take something you didn't ask for permission, isn't that the same thing as stealing?
Yes.
But my dad knew, like, I was taking, like, pennies and stuff
Right.
like that. But he needs, like, the quarters to get, like, snacks out of snack machines, so I would never take the quarters.
Right. Yeah. So he knew. So
Yeah.
that's not stealing. Okay. How about Matthew saying curse words?
Yeah.
I think so too. So we'll stick that one up there. All right. Cool. Woo.
Different color.
Looking at sites on the internet your parents told you not to go to.
Oh, you'll get in trouble for that.
And you get in trouble. That one is a sin. Because there are evil people out
What
there.
did I weigh this one though?
Which one? Whichever one you want.
There are evil
First or
people
second?
out there that try to put bad stuff on for kids. See, one time my son was watching Thomas the Train.
Yeah.
He was watching a little Thomas the Train video on YouTube, and the train's coming down the track, and all the trains are singing and talking and everything. And then all of a sudden, it has cartoons on it, and it had curse words in it. And I'm going, delete, stop. And my husband said, what is that? And I said, I can't believe that somebody so wicked would edit out a Thomas the Train video and put curse words on it so that a little kid would hear bad words. All right, let's see. Hayden hasn't had one yet. Let's get him one. And this is a tricky one, so let's see what you think. What if somebody's on their phone and they text, oh my God?
What's the sun?
I would say it is too. What do you guys think?
I guess it's a sin. I'm going to agree with that.
I think it's taking the Lord's name in vain, so yes, I do believe it's a sin.
Everybody's going on the same thing we are.
Okay.
Oh, it is. Oh, my.
Oh boy. Okay. Saying, I hate you. Yes.
Why are we putting up the orange over?
I don't know, it just kind of worked out that way, didn't it? Okay. Oh, Cole. I think you're going to know this one.
What?
Murder.
Murder.
If a person kills another person.
Joe died.
Yeah, that was against the 10 Commandments too.
Oh, you start. Okay.
Robbing a bank. It's a sin. It's technically it would be stealing, wouldn't it? You're taking something that doesn't belong to you. Okay, we've got just a couple more here. Here's a tricky one. Being prideful. What does that mean, fellas? Cole, what does it mean to be prideful?
You're being good, perfect.
Not necessarily. If someone has a lot of pride, that's okay. Come in. They really think, like, I'm great. I'm wonderful. I know everything.
Coffee.
Yeah, cocky's a good synonym. Taking illegal drugs.
Yes.
It's against the law, but is it a sin?
Yeah, like
Yeah, because you're
Incredibles.
doing something you know you're not supposed to be doing.
Incredibles.
Okay, Cole, here's a tricky one.
Ooh.
Being jealous of someone because of what they have.
I've been jealous like an old man.
Like if you say, oh my goodness, he's got a brand new Xbox and I don't have any video games at
Of
home.
course.
Right. It is a sin. Because you're not supposed to be jealous of other people. You're supposed to be content or happy with what you have.
Boom, chocolate.
All right.
Where are you going?
Turn it this way. Okay. Taking someone else's pencil at school. I need a pencil and I can't find mine, so I'm just going to take Jenny's and I'm not going to tell her about it. Right. Okay, this one's for you, Matthew. Gossiping. It is. Yep. We'll do one more. Oh no, this one's for me. So see if you think this one's a sin. Wishing something bad would happen to somebody. Yes. You don't want to wish something bad on anybody else. Excellent. Very good. Well, it turns out of all the things that our textbook gave us, they all turned out to be sins, didn't they? So this week during the week, sometimes we sin, we don't even think about it. So when you're at school this week, and you happen to do, hopefully you won't do any of these things, but if you happen to do something, like sometimes I've heard girls say, ugly things about other girls because they're jealous, or boys, sometimes will pick on each other and it'll hurt somebody's feelings. So think about the things that you say and do and make sure that you can try not to sin during the week. All right. Okay, so if you can see up there, does everybody see? Okay. So sin is an immoral act against God or divine law. In other words, it's something that's evil, it's wrong, it's an error or trespass. A covenant is an agreement that we talked about between two people which may be sacred, a commitment, a contract, or a bond. So now we know those two words. I can't wait till I see the next rainbow so I can think about God's covenant with Noah. All right. Kaylee, would you want to read our memory verse?
Sure. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never came to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness.
Right. So God's mercies never come to an end. They're new every day. So every day when the sun gets up, boom, you got a new day, fresh start. That's how great God is. So if you make a mistake one day, ask for forgiveness and repent and turn away from whatever it is that you have sinned and ask God for forgiveness and then start over fresh the very next day.
In our lesson today, Miss Tina talked a lot about sin. It was sin that grieved God and made him decide that he was going to flood the whole earth and wipe out all creatures, our animals, all people, with the exception of Noah and his family and 2 of every kind of animal. But he did that because of sin. We talked about how sin is still present with us today. We talked about some great examples of sin. And because even though wiping out much of creation, God knew in doing it that it was going to be a temporary fix, that it was not going to be the ultimate solution for sin. So he knew from the beginning that he would need a plan to conquer sin once and for all, and that plan was Jesus. When Jesus came into the world, he was the only one since Adam and Eve were created to enter the world sinless. But unlike Adam and Eve, Jesus lived the perfect life, so he was the one and only person who could die for the sins of the whole world. That includes your sin and my sin. And because of what Jesus did, we can look forward to not being wiped out like much of creation was before the flood. But we can look forward to spending eternity in heaven. But God didn't send Jesus right away after the flood. No, it took many, many more years. So next week we're going to talk more about God's plan. We're going to talk about another great man of the Bible, Abraham, and how God used him in his ultimate plan of salvation. So to prepare for next week, please read or listen to Genesis chapter 12 and chapter 15. Finally, some quick announcements. As a reminder, sermon notes twice a month, and they either need to be written or you can come see myself or Miss Tina after service and tell us what the sermon was about, and that will be fine as well. If you are visiting another church, you can take notes at that church as well, but we need sermon notes twice a month. Also be thinking of some service project ideas that we can do as a class. Thanks again for joining us on this journey through the Bible and the journey to Jesus. Have a great week. We will look forward to seeing you on Sunday.